So my perspective of Rec Room's situation has just changed, or has been made, I guess, more clear, because Nick, Rec Room's CEO, has sent us another message speaking specifically about their finances and UGC. When I first read the first half of Nick's blog, I couldn't tell if I should be upset or not, because I thought Rec Room was in such a very deep financial situation that they did all of these layoffs to extend Rec Room's life by a few months, and that's why they would have to be so careful with their finances and this and that to be able to extend to a full year. But no, apparently that's not exactly the case. Because of all of this, we thought that Rec Room only had about a year or a few months to live. Actually not. Apparently, Rec Room has a guaranteed several years to live. You'll soon see what I mean when I read the message to you. But as I continued on reading, I went from thinking, Rec Room, were you just being dramatic? To, oh wow, Rec Room, I guess, is being honest with us, and they're actually being more wise than what we gave them credit for. So just like last time, I'm gonna read through Nick's blog and then at the end kind of summarize my thoughts, kind of what I think, what we should do as a community, but I also like to hear a lot more from what you guys think in the comments. And also keep in mind, it's only been about 3 to 4 days since the layoff happened, and we have a new blog. So I'm very thankful, Nick, for giving us a new blog. All right, here we go. Rec Room's finances and UGC revenue. I know layoffs like this create real worry for people who play Rec Room. I don't want that uncertainty hanging over the community, so I wanted to try to answer some of the questions I've been seeing come up. I'm very thankful for that, because I have friends that literally constantly say that they don't think Rec Room will survive at all to 2026. And pretty soon, we're gonna see if that is definitely not true. It's gonna last much longer than we all expect. This blog is structured in a way to answer some common questions. Are we out of money? No. Our balance sheet, i.e. cash in the bank, is actually pretty strong, but we were spending too much money. That's why we had to do the layoff. Our spending got out of sync with our revenue and our growth. When I first read that didn't really make sense to me until I read the next paragraph. We had a really big team and even bigger vision, and we weren't hitting that vision. And we were spending a lot of money not hitting that vision. And in doing so, we were also frustrating a lot of you. So Rec Room was trying to do more than what they could be, if that makes any sense. I think the leaders of Rec Room had their own vision for Rec Room, and they were hoping as long as they did it well enough, or if they just get past it enough, that the community would accept it and start following along with that vision. But it wasn't working, because it wasn't exactly what we wanted. And it's not bad for Rec Room trying things, but they were sacrificing what people were loving Rec Room for. If we had just kept going, we would have run out of money in the last couple of years. I was surprised when I read that, because again, we kept speculating that Rec Room would only have months to live. But no, Rec Room actually had such a vision that it was going years. They're also apparently doing a good job of keeping track what it will take to do that vision financially. And with no money left, we would have to lay everyone off. And that's something that we don't want. Again, something that we have been saying lately is we would rather Rec Room, this sounds bad, sacrifice a few to keep the game servers open. We just didn't realize that it would take longer than we thought. We thought Rec Room only had a few months to live. At first, I was frustrated reading it, be like, wait a minute, I thought it was a bigger situation than this. But then I started realizing as I continued to read, Rec Room was looking down the road, that they were trying to stop the problem before it became a problem that wasn't solvable anymore. Do you have runway, or do you have time? Yes, we've got several years with the current team, current burn rate, and cash in the bank. It's hard to give you guaranteed dates because nothing in business or life is guaranteed. Yeah, we all agree with that. But if nothing about the business changed or improved, our runway would carry us into 2029. Guys, That's 4 years. If Rec Room continues the rate that they're at, with the less employees they have, the revenue that they're coming in, Rec Room's gonna last a lot longer than most of us thought. I don't think we should be as concerned as we thought we should have been. Also, look at this. Do we have debt? No, we don't have any debt. I was honestly shocked when I read that. In fact, I pictured it as unbelievable. How in the world did Rec Room start off the game with not having much of monetizing to going crazy and monetizing and doing all this AI stuff? And wow, does that mean Rec Room received a lot of investment money enough that they didn't have to exactly go into debt? Or, this is business stuff that I probably don't understand. I am shocked if this is absolutely true. And it actually makes me think they are much wiser than we thought, especially because its debt is what really destroys companies faster. It's what gets them into bankruptcy, makes them close their doors. And so for them not having debt, that is so incredible that it's almost unbelievable. And it actually now makes sense why they were able to help the layoff people with 3 more months of pay and 6 more months of health benefits. Is UGC revenue growing? Yes. July was the highest it's ever been. It's growing about 70% year after year. We remember them showing off some graphics a while ago about how incredible it was in just July alone. And it makes sense. Like, that's around the hype of summer. That makes sense. But it also makes people confused. If it's doing so well, why do things also seem like it's getting worse? Are creator earnings growing? Yes, we paid out more to creators in July than any previous month in our history. That's incredible. But also, that specifically July, things will slow down naturally into the fall because, of course, it is school time, school's picking back up, but things could pick up also around the holiday time. If UGC revenue is growing, why the layoffs? First, it's important to note that UGC revenue has different economics than revenue from things we make. And as UGC revenue grows, it displaces revenue from things we make. When a player buys a UGC item, a significant portion of that money goes to the creator. That's the right thing to do, but it means lower margins for Rec Room. Example, when we get $1 of revenue from an item we make, 70 cents gets to us because we pay platforms 30%. When we get $1 of revenue from UGC, we only get about 30 cents because we pay the platforms and creators. Hearing that definitely helps give a perspective of things. That Rec Room has to go through platforms to make these exchanges. Let's say RecNet, the company that they used for people to be able to make purchases on RecNet, didn't tell them that they were closing and just closed on them. Rec Room doesn't make everything, and that's one of the big payments that Rec Room has made is by hiring companies to help run systems for them. Rec Room has to pay these companies. The upside, UGC is more scalable. We can grow it faster without scaling our own costs at the same pace. The trade-off, we need higher overall volume because we would take home less from each dollar earned compared to when we are selling first-party content. So Rec Room would have to sell like 3 times more community-made items to be able to make the same amount of their first-party items. So in a way, this explains why Rec Room just didn't completely drop off in making their own items to sell when they introduced UGC, because we were concerned that they would just flat up stop making things and completely turn over to UGC made items. But this is starting to make more sense why they didn't. Financial reasons, and I also hope they enjoy making their own stuff. So as UGC grows, and it is, our costs have to adjust to match. UGC revenue growth wasn't why we did the layoff. We were spending too much money before UGC revenue really started growing in April of this year, but its growth ate into what we were making and didn't help our overall spending problem. The first step into fixing a problem is to recognize that there's a problem. I am extremely thankful that Rec Room is telling us up front there is a problem. Their spending problem. Their bigger than capable vision. Because their vision was so big, they had so many employees, but they weren't able to get to it, especially because of the resistance of the community. Like during COVID time, that's where Rec Room seemed to be like at its peak. A lot more people were playing because people couldn't have a social life. People were finding that through Rec Room. And so I'm sure it was then on that Rec Room really started to hire a lot of people. And so when they realized that they cannot continue with this large vision because they're realizing their finances couldn't hold it up, and so they had to scale back. I'm sure if they were able to keep all 300-ish employees that they had, they would be able to make a lot of things that the community really wants, like Rec Room original games and quests. But because of their finances, because of their spending, they weren't able to keep all of those employees. So in scaling back in their big vision, they also recognized they had to scale back on their over 300 employees. I should stop rambling for a second and we should continue reading. You know, sometimes when I ramble so much, I start realizing I probably don't know what I'm talking about. Did you have to do the layoffs now, or could you have waited? That's exactly what I was thinking when I first read that they had years left in their bank. Ultimately, there is no good way or time to do a layoff. Yeah, that's fair. Waiting wouldn't have made it better though. We had a strong balance sheet, but we were going through money really fast. Every month we waited, it came at a high cost, and it was clear what we were doing wasn't sustainable. Unfortunately, a layoff was the only way we could address the problem. Most of our cost each month is salaries and benefits. Something that I have thought from time to time, especially when I hear about Rec Room staff visiting the headquarters in Seattle, Washington, or give like special items to them, a cool office, provide them with computers. Rec Room does seem to take care of their employees. The Rec Room leaders really cares, but they also cared so much about their vision. Sometimes YouTubers do that too. You've seen some Rec Room YouTubers try out other visions for their channel where they play other games, but that's not why you subscribe to them. You subscribed for their Rec Room content. It can be nice from time to time to see them playing different games, but that's not why you subscribed them for. Same thing with Rec Room. Rec Room seemed to be having a different vision from what we started playing for, and their vision was really costing them. Same thing with a Rec Room YouTube channel. If they hire editors to edit videos of other games, but those videos of other games isn't making the money as the Rec Room videos do, it's coming at a cost. They are spending more money for something that they really want to change their channel into being, but it's not working. People didn't subscribe for that. Even if that YouTuber had a lot of money saved up, it was being too much of a cost. I wanted to make sure that if we had to do a layoff, we could treat everyone with respect, providing strong severance and extended health care. You can't do that if you wait until the money is almost gone. Acting earlier gave us the ability to take care of people while still setting up Rec Room for years, not months, of funding. Oh my goodness. How wise does that not sound? It's a very tough decision, but that was very wise. Nick, thank you for being very transparent, and it starts making us community understand your guys' perspective, understand why you're doing it, and understand why of when you did it. And us, the community, can be more at ease. The Rec Room does not have months to live. Rec Room is going to be here for the next few years, at least. So what now? I don't think we've been doing a good job communicating with our community over the past few years. We're going to try to fix that by talking to you more often and sharing more details. That's something I feel like I've been hearing multiple times now. Oh, we're going to do a better job communicating this and that, but you know what? I feel like as they're realizing their mistakes, realizing the better path that they should take, that they actually are being more transparent and that they are being more honest with us. Maybe that's not a good idea. I suspect most startups wouldn't publicly announce how much runway they have. I hope that level of transparency helps you understand where the problems are and where they aren't. We still have a lot of work to do. We need to improve a lot of areas and we know it. We're working on it. I'm really curious what the meetings look like. If the leaders are just like, here's the vision, you help us with some more detail ideas, we want to go in this direction, go. I wonder how much they actually ask their employees what their thoughts are, if they agree to any of this stuff. We know for sure that they care about their employees, but do they really have a relationship with their employees to have such a conversation? At the same time, it is hard to have that type of relationship when there are over 300 employees. Now, they have much less than that. Because of that, communication, I'm sure, is going to get much better. Ideas are going to probably thrive more. And because there's less people, that means there's less people that ideas have to go through. We've got the time to go improve. We made a really difficult and painful decision to get that time. It was hard to do, but we did it. So we can give Rec Room years of runway to evolve. I am very hopeful. Guys, I hope that this really helps you too. I really hope that this is giving you hope. If people find this helpful, I'll try to share more content like this. There's always details I can't share, but we'll try to be more transparent and regular with our communications, financial topics, specifically the UGC revenue. If there are other topics people want to hear about, let us know. Nick. Even though they let go of a lot of people, especially people that did the regular communication, specifically on the Discord, doesn't mean their communication has backed down a lot. Taking a look at the Discord, there are other devs that are stepping up to be that communication. Even Gribbly himself has talked to some people. There was one message that I saw that I would really like to read to you guys because it helped me also with a clearer perspective of things and why companies would do this. Generally, you don't do partial layoffs to extend runway for a couple of months. You do it to extend runway enough to make meaningful change. That makes so much sense. Rec Room has a lot more time than we expect. And because of that, I am thrilled. I am excited. We're gonna do our best to use the time to make Rec Room fun and keep the lights on. Because so much staff has been laid off, it is questionable of how many things are still going to happen. For example, we don't know for sure if RecCon is going to happen, but what we do know is still going to happen is seasons. Seasons are still going to happen. We know that some Rec Room originals might have some new content coming to it, like paintball, but do we know if there's going to be brand new RROs or a brand new Rec Room quest? We don't know. It depends how the extended content works financially. Are the weeklies going to come back? I don't think so. I think the seasons are now going to be the replacement for the weeklies. I'm still sad about that. I want the weeklies to come back because the weeklies was a lot of players' breaking point. It's very interesting to read in the comments what different breaking points it was for you guys. For some people, it was the new bean, that they are so sad that the old bean was taken away and now we have new bean that they decided to leave the game. Some people, it was the weekly, because that was one of their big reasons for coming onto Rec Room to play. I don't believe Rec Room to bring back the old bean. I believe that Rec Room would bring more adjustments for us to make on our new bean so you can make it look like the old bean as much as possible. And to me, that's all right. Because the Rec Room staff is much smaller, yeah, I don't believe weeklies will come back. I'm not sure how the leagues will run. Because the Rec Room staff is much smaller, they might bring in more volunteers from the building community, from video partners to help run events and stuff like that. Having a smaller team is definitely going to make them be more picky in what they do. But I'm sure now that they have to be very picky, they're going to try to be as right as they can, even if that means everything that they do has to be monetized. But as long as they're a free version, I think everyone's gonna be happy. I am very excited for the future of Rec Room. If this is Rec Room's lowest point, it's only gonna go up. And for us as the community, like I said last time, we need to keep playing the game. It takes two to make a thriving game, a company that brings content and fun and the community to receive it and to support them. So if you wanna see Rec Room thrive, you need also to do your part by supporting them. When the layoffs happened, and if you canceled your Rec Room Plus as protest, that does not help the current existing staff. that only hurts Rec Room. And especially if Rec Room is going in the direction that we all want, we gotta reward them for it. If you see an item that you really like, and you know you're gonna wear it every day, and you've got the money for it, then buy it. Go ahead. Reward Rec Room for giving what you and the community wants. And Rec Room has also mentioned that they want to fix things so that the great rooms will be rewarded. I'm excited. So many good things are going to happen. So if you would like to witness Rec Room making the right changes, be sure to continue to play the game.